I think for me, one of my bigger arguments, at least when the documentary first came out, not obviously knowing and being as educated as I am today, but even just from my experience, like working with sharks, I think I genuinely think that every trainer understood that they're killer whales.
Yeah.
I know that there is testimony in the film that they withheld like footage of the accidents and things from trainers when they were applying and things like that, which I definitely think is maybe something that they should have shown them as like, hey, heads up, like as a reminder, because we see it in the shark world when people don't see how capable the animals are and they assume that they are, you know, puppy dogs and not apex predators.
Yeah.
We see it all
Same
the
with
time. Right, like we see it all the time in the shark world, and I'm sure it's even easier with cetaceans that
because of this.
love humans to believe that fact that
Well,
they
and because the claim that is brought up in the movie that they have never been recorded harming someone in the wild, which is a lie. And it may not necessarily a lie. It may be that they weren't aware of this, that there is there's one recorded incident where a surfer was bit. And then there have been other things where like, oh, they will like attack boats recently in Spain. That's kind of a big issue. They will kind of go for people. And there's even footage of the New Zealand orcas now, like kind of going near swimmers and like looking. There's one where they are kind of like, they don't bite,
like
but it kind of looks like they're kind of
almost.
Yeah. And
I've seen it.
It could happen. That's the thing. Yeah, killer whales aren't really documented like killing someone, but for all we know, one day
even a playful bite could be the end of a human being.
Yeah. It can happen. And just because same with bottlenose. Bottlenose are recorded for attacking people. But you know,
I'm way more scared of bottlenose dolphins than I am of sharks.
I may have freaked out my mom when we went to Hawaii when I was like, oh yeah,
like heads up, they're evil.
Dolphins, like they're so smart and they are recorded to.
I always tell people, I mean,
get in
because we've realized that cetaceans are so incredibly intelligent the same way that almost humans are. I always tell people, I'm like, there are evil people in the world. Doesn't mean that everyone is, but that comes with being really intelligent, I believe. You know,
there could be just some malintentioned dolphin out there that's just like causing a ruckus.
Yeah, you know,
but we haven't met him because he's pelagic.
Yeah,
you know, and that's the thing is like,
but it's easy, and they talk about this in the documentary. They don't want to admit that those things have been happening because that doesn't sell stuffed animals, and that doesn't sell the dream, you know, of
when I think that
with these wild animals.
It's at the fault of. I don't love Blackfish. I don't hate it. I think it's a decent film. But one
there's
thing
better
is that
documentaries out there, and I'm sure we'll eventually watch them.
Yeah, but like that is one thing where I'm like, yeah, I mean, maybe they genuinely didn't know about this surfer incident. A lot of people don't.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't, you know, and don't want to say that, oh, those boat incidents happened, the bumping, like all that doesn't count. I think it kind of does. Like the orcas kind of go after some boats.
It shows frustration.
They get frustrated toward boats. Even out here, I have heard people talk about how in the Salish Sea that this has happened. And so, and then one thing that could be brought up is other cetaceans have been recorded being aggressive towards people.
Oh yeah.
And that would imply if we were in the water maybe more with orcas, it could happen.
More things would happen.
Yeah. If orcas were regularly getting close like bottlenose are, like spinners. I've seen spinners get aggressive towards people in Hawaii.
Oh yeah,
because like dart out and be like, go away. But you know, we're like, he said hi, I interacted. And I'm always like,
that's not
that's not what that is.
I mean, I think I don't know. I think one of the things that, I mean, we see it with sharks too, but there's this fine line, I guess, of sort of building that stewardship to the ocean by showing that we can have a connection, that we can coexist with these animals.
That they're not monsters.
But that they're not
the puppy.
But there is this sort of almost like overcorrection that you see where people no longer respect the animal as a predator and just see it as that like puppy dog or that like
Yeah.
loving, that's my best friend, you know.
But that, yeah, both are wrong, and both can have an adverse effect on the animal, but also for people. Like people are like, oh, sharks are
Yeah.
so friendly, and a shark is like approaching.
Yeah,
Or
and I
whatever.
think, to my point, I think the trainers, maybe because they weren't shown the clips of those attack situations or bad incidents or whatever it is, maybe they didn't fully understand. But I find it really hard to believe that people that worked with those whales every single day didn't at least understand how capable that they were.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like, I had no idea, but it's like, I don't
But
know.
like,
I
really,
remember
did
things
you
being
have
on the
no
news.
idea? Like, I clearly have so much sympathy for the incidents that did happen and the people that were involved in that and the trainers that then had to somehow rationalize staying or seeing like their best friend hurt, kind of thing. Like, that is heartbreaking and really unfortunate that it ever did have to happen. But I in a way, I'm like, I truly believe like if Dawn was still here, she would in some degree say, well, I knew they were orcas.
Yeah, like yeah.
And it's
She
not to say that like she would ever want that to happen or expected it to happen, but in the back of your mind, there has to be some degree of, as someone that's seen them launch you out of the water, like, you must understand that if nothing else, they're just very capable animals.
Yeah. Well, and like they could be aware, but just all the good experiences and clearly like relationship sessions, play sessions, like obviously I think probably more out of anything they are friendly and playful, at least
Yeah.
appearing. And so that could kind of like you just forget
Yeah.
more so than like,
And that's where I do think like,
and you
I
could
mean,
purposely
who
forget and be like,
knows?
oh,
Yeah.
he's fine now. He's better now. He's better here. Nothing's happened in 2 years.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just the
Maybe it was
day.
just that place or that, yeah, environment. Yeah, I could
He
see
was
that too.
new. He had just
I do
gotten here.
think if it is true that SeaWorld never did show those trainers, those incidents, I think that is to some degree fault on SeaWorld's end.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if they're hiding it from trainers, I think it's definitely
Then,
fault on
like,
SeaWorld.
if
And
nothing,
and
I just find it interesting because that's such a learning opportunity, like to make your
yeah,
trainers better in the end.
like
But
this happened.
yeah, like
Be
be
aware.
cautious.
Let's know.
And
Let's
they do talk about how like Dawn was really safety conscious and like all that kind of stuff. So it clearly shows that like it it's, you know, it could have happened to anybody, kind of thing.
Yeah.